Hey, Black Barn Social Club, God bless America. I'm going to try to talk about something that's been rolling around for a while. You guys, if you've watched it for a little while, you know that I'm a menswear, fashion, boot, clothes, cars, trucks. I mean, I'm just a dude talking dude stuff, talking gear and kit, and I've been on a boot kick lately. I've been buying a lot of boots, and I do it for multiple reasons. One is it gives me a chance to talk about boots. It gives me a chance to talk to you guys about boots, and it lets me make content. The second reason is I love boots. I love fashion. I love getting, I think I've talked about it before. I love opening stuff. It's a blast. But you can get too many things. You can get so many things that you don't get to wear everything. And one of the things that I've been trying to push myself to do lately is as I get better and better products, I try to thin out a lot of the things that I'm not going to wear anymore. And that forces me to think things through differently. Because I don't want to just get something new, and before I know enough about it, I don't want to get rid of something that's tried and true. So one of the things that I'm being very methodical about, I'm trying to rate and rank everything that I've got, compare it one to the next, and decide if there is an overlap in something, decide which of these is better and which of them do I want to keep. And that's it. And first and foremost, one of the things that you got to realize is that a boot is not a boot. It's not a boot. You can, and I can say the same thing about jeans. I was thinking about that this morning. How would I explain what I'm trying to say? There's a perceived value in the weight of something, the thickness of something, the heft of something. There's a perceived value in that. There's also the value in quality and how it's made and how it's put together. So that being said, you can go find somebody to make you a thick pair of boots, and if his stitching is shoddy and his glue doesn't work and they're lumpy and they fit like garbage, well, you got a thick pair of boots that are crap. And on the flip side, if you can go get the thinnest leather and you put it together and you do it with love and care and compassion, and the stitching's right and everything's, used only the best materials, and you'll have a expertly made thin boot that might not hold up to the abuse that an expertly made thick work boot would hold up to. So I'm saying all this to say is that I'm not a one boot guy. I can't have one boot. For starters, I grew up working in the field. I grew up working outside. But now I spend, 90% of my time in meetings or in an office. And so it calls for very different things. That being said, I'm leaving myself room to have two different types of things. Maybe even 3 or 4. I'm going to always have tennis shoes. I'm always going to have, house shoes. So there's going to be multiple things. But I'm setting myself up to break my boots into 2 categories. And one's going to be in a gentleman's boot. One's going to be in a more robust, for lack of a better terms, just your good shit-kicking boots. And then you've got the ones, like I've talked about cars before. You got Cadillacs that ride smooth, and you got Denali trucks that are trucks, and they can still ride smooth. So I know that there's boots that can walk into an office, look amazing, but also be thick, quality leather, and also be put together right. So I'm leaving myself room to explore all my boot choices, to compare them against each other, and start thinning the herd. Now that being said, one of the things that I wanted to address tonight on this, I don't know if I'll call it the first boot thinning, but I've got multiple pairs of cap toe boots. This one is the Chippewa LL Bean. I think they call it the Catadine boot, but you ought to recognize this. It's dead nuts going after that heritage cap toe, cork sole, Iron Ranger look. Now it's an attractive boot. There's no question. It's thick. It's every bit as thick as my Iron Ranger. It's got some things that are a little bit, I'll even say a little bit nicer about it. Like I like how it's got the rolled lip here, so you're not looking at the raw edge. There's the Iron Ranger for comparison. So I like the rolled lip, and if I'm, it's a classic good looking boot. I like Chippewa's story. Really good looking boot. So that being said, when I picked this up, I thought this could do it. This could unseat the Iron Ranger. And I spoke too soon. As much as I like this boot, as much as my foot fits in this boot, by the way. It fits in this boot. They're both 11.5 Ds. But this is where, and I know Gabe is sitting there right now going, he's going to say it. He's going to say last. Last matters. You can take the same size and you can cram your feet into this, and it will not work for you all day long. You might be able to get from here to the movie and back. You might be able to get from here to dinner and back. But if you go stand 14 hours on your feet on a concrete pad, like I did this weekend, in a boot where your toes are scrunched, you're gonna know it. You're gonna feel it. And you're gonna be thinking about it all day. And that's exactly what I went through all day long on Saturday. I was wearing this boot, and I loved how they looked. But all I could think about was my toes are killing me. It's just the shape of my foot needs more room in a toe box. So then that got me thinking. So there's supposed to be, I don't know if this is true or not. Somebody might have to Google this. But I think judging by the shape of your foot and the length of your toes, you're supposed to be able to tell where you come from in the world, or where your family hailed from. So let me tell you about my feet. My big toe, my first toe, and my third toe, all three the same size. So they're all the same length, I should say. I'm not going to show you my feet. I wouldn't do that to you. But all three of them are the same length. And then the last two taper off. So I really need a wide toe box. That's why the Oak Street boots, the trench boots do good for me. That's why, the Grant Stone boots do good for me. And that's why the Iron Ranger does good for me. Everybody talks about the clown shoe, the bulbous toe, the little bit of spring there. It's got more room in the toe box. So at the end of the day, even though I've had these for 11.5 years, 12 years, whatever they've been, even though I've had them that long and I've been looking for a reason to retire them, they still fit me better because of the last. So when it's all, and go watch Ed, EDH Boulevard, EDHBLVD. Go watch his, he just did a video this week where he did an excellent job explaining how your foot lays down and how somebody's last will force your foot into a shape that it ain't good for you. So all that being said, in the first installment of which of these am I getting rid of, I got to hold on to my Iron Rangers. The Chippewas in this case, while I can wear them, it would be just a redundant boot to me because it's the same thickness, it's the same aesthetic, it's the same in my mind, it's the same boot. It just doesn't fit right. So I'll be putting those up for sale. Somebody will get a great pair of boots because they're an amazing pair of boots. And the Red Wing Iron Ranger 1. Now I've got one more of these to go against. Like I said, I'm not gonna. I want to lean back on the fact that boots fall into categories for me. They may not for you. They may not for anybody else. But for me, this is a yard work weekend kick around my driveway boot. Truman And that Stone Rambler that I showed y'all just not too long ago, while it looks a lot like this, it's got the rubber lugged sole. It's going to be a little bit more refined. It's just, you know, a little bit more refined than this. I'm probably going to do less yard work in a Truman. I'll probably do more, you know, going out and walking into the offices. And then I've got my Parkhurst boots that which I'm making the case that they're probably the best value in a gentleman's dress boot, even though, make no bones about it, the leather is not as thick as a Truman. It's just not as I'm going to be careful to say this because it's such a quality boot. It's every bit as well made. It's just made with a thinner material, more refined. So I don't know. You guys pick that apart. I mean, that's my statement. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm keeping the Iron Rangers, and I'm going to sell the Chippewas. Y'all be blessed. Talk soon.